So I'm not going to go over how to install Pyfa. I'm assuming that you're capable of doing that. And like I said, if you can't Google it and you can't even install it, then I think this fitting tool will be beyond your understanding. Not to talk down to you, but it's just there's nothing I can do for you. And God have mercy on your soul. So once you have Pyfa installed, there's a couple things you'll probably want to do just to start. You don't have to do it, but I do recommend it because it'll give you a more realistic look at your ships if you're linking your character to the fitting tool itself. Because sure, you could say, you know, all attributes to 5, but there's very few players in the game that have all of their skills trained up to 5. So to actually understand what stats you'll be pulling out of a particular fitting, it's best to have your character imported into the program. And to do that, basically what you're going to do is you're going to select the window button here and go to your character editor. And then from here, you can import some characters. So what you'll do first is you'll click New Character, and you'll name it after yourself. In this case, I'll do my character name. And I believe I actually already have one in there. What you can do is you go to your EVSSO tab, you go to Adam Deathstroke, and then you can click Get Skills. But it'll say successfully caught, because I already have this character added. But what you want to do is actually log into EVSSO. It'll then use the simple sign-on feature. You'll log in, username and password. If you have third-party authentication, you'll have to do that, which you should have anyways, because people will hijack your account if you don't use that extra security layer. So once you have that all set, you'll hit the Get Skills, and then it'll actually have your character in. You're actually looking at a fit, the drop-down menu here will have your character. You can click on it and select it, and it'll show you the stats of that particular ship based on your character's skills. You will have to refresh your skills every time there's a change on your side, but it's a really easy thing. What you'll do is you'll just click the little refresh button up here, and it'll refresh your skills. So you don't have to do it that often. Once you get to a certain point in the game, most of the skills you're going to train are going to take like 30 days, so you won't have to do it that often. So first thing we'll do is we're going to go ahead and create a ship here. We're going to do my favorite ship, the Retribution, to start. So you'll see here under the Fittings tab, you got quite a few options here. There's a lot of different categories to find for ships. You actually even also have structures too, which is really helpful. So if you want to fit up a Astor House or a Retaro or something like that, you can, no problem. But for this demonstration, we're going to do a assault frigate called a Retribution. Now you can go through it two ways. You can click the assault frigate tab here, and it'll open up all the assault frigates, and it'll also show you how many fittings you have based on those different fittings. And then you can just hit the plus button to create a new fitting for the Retribution. And if you also hover your mouse on any one of these things, it'll actually show you the basic stats. You can also right-click on it, and it'll give you some other options too. In this case, it's just going to show basic stats, which will open up a window. And here it'll give you all the stuff that you'd see in-game, like traits, description, attributes. You can compare them to the other ships in its class, so the other assault frigates of the same build, and then the T1 variant as well. Skill requirements are there, and then effects. This stuff is very basic. I couldn't explain what half of this stuff is anyways, but most of what you're going to look for is basically traits, description. If you're into the lore part, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, Adam, it's not reading the windows that pop up, only the base Pyfa.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll adjust my stream here.
Hey, try this real quick. The pop-up window that comes up, drag it over to the right of the main window.
Nope.
Try setting a portion of your screen that shows everything, not just like the application.
Alright, let me go ahead and do that adjustment real quick. Yeah, it's not going to work either. I'd have to stop the stream and then reload it.
Should probably do that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Who was asking?
It's in the fleet chat. Otherwise, just go to the.
Sorry, I don't know which fleet.
It's under. You'll see it. Just go to fleet search and you'll see Dojo, Pyfa basics. All right, stream's back up. Do you guys see the window now?
I see information on, I don't know, maybe the Retribution.
Yeah. Is that all you see?
No, it's not going to work on the window capture. I'm running it right now. The same thing. I think it's the fact that it's a Python issue.
Gotcha. Well, I could do screen capture.
I think you're going to have to do screen capture.
Yeah, let's do that.
Checking it real quick.
All right, let me hide all my inappropriate stuff. I'm kidding. I think we're good here. Let me just restart again.
Yeah, that's working now.
All right, so yeah, so basically you can right-click on any one of these things, and you can kind of view the quick traits of any of the ships that you have in your fittings tab over here on the left-hand side.
Sorry to interrupt, just real quick, since it wasn't covered before, could you just go roll back so you can capture on video how to for the Eve SSO and get your character in game?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and show that again. So what you'll do is you'll tap on Eve SSO. You can go to Manage Characters. You can add a character right from here, which will open up your web browser, as you'll see here. It'll ask you to log in. I'm already logged in here, so I'll select my character, and then I'll go to Authorize. I've already done this, so you'll see your character show up in here. Once it's there, you can go to your character editor. Once you have your editor open, you'll create a new character here. It sounds kind of redundant, but you have to do it this way. So you'll create a new character. You'll type in your character name here. You'd probably want to name it the same thing so it doesn't get confusing. And then once that's done, you'll see under your SSO tab, you can go ahead and select that character you created and hit the Get Skills button, and it'll be there without any issues. You can also create a custom character if you want to. Like, you can create a new character here, and you can give it very customized attributes if you want to. Like, if you're a brand new player starting out and you have like a skill plan set up and you know what skills you're going to have in a couple weeks, you can go ahead and create that character if you need to and put it in there. I'd say most of the time you're not really going to do that unless you're like an alliance level fitting manager and you need to get like 200 guys into a specific fit, and you have to try and figure out like the best way to get them in that fit quickly. But 99% of the time you're never going to use these kinds of features. Once your character's in here and you're actually on a fit, this drop down menu here, you'll have a bunch of different options there. You can just select your character and then it'll show the attributes for that particular ship you're viewing based on your character skill levels, or you can do all of 5. Most people, when they're playing this game, when they're creating a fitting, especially veteran players, they'll probably have it set all to 5 to see what is capable of being fit, and then what they'll do is they'll adjust the fitting based on their character. Because if they do it just based on their character, you're not really maximizing what the fit potentially could have. But that's another thing in itself. But otherwise, just kind of, use your character if you want to. Otherwise, I'd say start with level 5 and then adjust your fit from there. And I'll explain that in a minute. So, here we're going to go ahead and create a new fitting. 2, you can kind of see I've got a bunch of different fittings here already. But we're going to create a new fitting from scratch. And you can do that from, once again, Assault Frigate, Retribution, click New. If you're not sure which category a ship goes in, you can also do a search for it. Just start typing in Retribution. And it starts narrowing it down. As you see here, it's pretty fast, much faster than the in-game search. So we're going to create a new one here. We're going to call this Test Fit. And I want to create my favorite kind of fitting here. So now I need to start searching for modules to put in here. Now I can't right-click on here and just find a module. That's not really how it works. I have to go to my Market tab here. And it's basically going to have, kind of like in-game, it's going to organize it in certain categories like ammunition charges, deployables, drones, etc. So what I want to do is, if I want to sit there and manually go through ship equipment and look for turrets and then find, energy turrets, beam lasers, small. So it can be a little slow if you try and do it that way. If you've been playing as long as I have, you probably know most of the names of most things in the game. So in this case, I want some dual focus or small focus beam lasers, right? The Tech 2 versions. So I can go ahead and start double clicking here and start adding them, and double clicking again and put them on there. But normally the way I do it, since I know the name of it, I'll start typing it in. You'll see as I type it in, it starts to narrow down the list, right? The cool thing about this is you don't even have to do complete words to search. You can even do a space and it'll narrow it down, and I'll show you what it means. So I did small, and I did faux, and then I'm going to do the II for Tech 2. Watch this. And see how that narrowed it down? I didn't even finish typing and everything, and it already got it down to that. So it's a very, very quick system to find modules. So if you know it's Tech 2, you can immediately just type in II. And if you know it's a small weapon, you can type the word small, and then you can type in, whether it's like artillery or, pulse lasers, railgun. You type it in, it'll start narrowing it down super fast. Way faster in-game, and if this is like pretty much as fast as you can type, you can find modules. It's really, really cool. So I've got my beam lasers in here. I'm going to spread them out here because I like to spread out my heat damage when I overheat. Now I want to add a warp disruptor or a micro warp drive, so I'm going to type in 5mm. And so here it narrows it down. Now I put a Tech 2 in there for now, and that's not how I fit it, but I'm just going to throw it in there now, and I'm going to show you something cool. I want to put a warp disruptor in there. Got my Tech 2, I want some heat sink, some nanofibers. And I want a small ancillary armor. So I barely even typed into the whole thing. It's misspelled, I've got only half the words, and you can still see it's showing up and searching just fine. It's a really amazing search. It's a really amazing search tool. So once again, on my fits, I like to set them up so like I set my heat damage correctly. So I can move any module around anywhere I want. So I can drag things up and down, right and left, and so on. And now I want my rigs. So even in the wrong order, I did locus to N, like for energy, and then there it is right there, small locus. And by the way, this asterisk keeps popping up, that's my push to talk. Small locus energy coordinator. So I got all that stuff in there, great. So you'll see here on the right-hand side, based on all skills to 5, and I've got my other characters here too, I'm way over on CPU. Power grid, I'm just fine. I mean, all the other cool stats are here too, like my armor repper, without any Ansel paste in there, is 26 hit points per second. So what we can start doing is putting ammunition in things. That shouldn't be there. I'm going to start putting ammunition in. Well, actually, I want to make my fitting fit first. So I'm going to have to lower my CPU. And I can do that a bunch of ways. I can just change the fit by removing things, or in this case, what I want to do is start blinging some stuff here. So I want to take my warp drive, and I can go to variations, which is really cool. So you can view all the other items in that same class. And I want to go to Corelli B-type, I think is what I want. So that dropped my CPU down quite a bit. And my warp disruptor, I want to use a Caldari Navy warp disruptor. So now I am good on the CPU, I'm good on power grid, and my capacitor lasts only 58 seconds, which is not very good. So definitely have some cap issues with this thing. But generally, that's with my armor repper running. Let's put some nano paste in there, right? Charge, nano paste. Boom, that's how I put ammo. And I can do the same thing for my lasers all. Shift click like you would in Windows, option click in a Mac, I think. And then we're going to go to... That's weird, it's not showing charge. Huh.
Because you have the remote booster in there. Move something into the old slot.
That is bizarre. That is a bug in the program.
Weird. Try grouping them all. Like 4.
There we go. Okay, so I've got my 4 beam lasers in there. That's the first time I've ever seen it using this program for years. I like to use X-ray in this one, so let's do Imperial Navy X-ray. Boom. So when I say I load that ammo in there, you'll notice under the firepower it shows 267 DPS. I have these guns highlighted. You'll see there's check boxes on the side here, and there's also yellow circles. And we can do a couple things here. If I just left click, it's going to disable all these. You'll see my DPS drops down to 0. My capacitor is changed. Everything's changed. Now I can left click again to reactivate. Capacitor is changed. DPS is changed. If I right click, it's going to overheat all these modules because I have all of them selected. So the DPS changes, and the capacitor, if it increases the cycle time, it obviously is going to decrease your capacitor. So that's how you overheat things, and you can quickly change ammos if I want to see the different effects, the different ammo types, based on what I want to do here. So I'm just going to leave this. I still see I'm basically losing cap when I'm running this thing. If I turn off my repper, because I'm not normally using my repper when I fly, 11 minutes and 10 seconds of capacitor, more than enough for a fight. If I'm on a grid 11 minutes, 10 seconds with my guns shooting nonstop, and my warp disruptor on and my micro warp drive on, I've probably been there too long and I should get out. So for me, this is a really good fit. And if I have to hit my Ansel armor repper, 50 seconds, and actually let's go 50 seconds is a long time with everything running. So where I decide, you know, if I have to run everything for 50 seconds before I'm cap dry, am I going to run out of paste before I run out of capacitor? And so that's something you can kind of weigh in your head. But if I have to go through all 8 charges on my armor repper in a fight, then I should probably get out at that point anyways. So I'll still probably have capacitor left regardless. So it's just a really quick way. You see, I put a fit together in like a minute, even while explaining it. I can do all the stats immediately, and then I can also compare my character with those stats. So you see the DPS drops down a little bit because I don't have absolutely perfect skills. Capacitor I don't believe changed at all. And I think the CPU might have changed a little bit there. Oh, no, power grid changed a little bit. So I've got pretty good fitting skills on this, comparatively. And the cool thing also is this: you shouldn't rely on this 100% of the time. I'm not sure how accurate the data is on these websites, but in the settings of the program you can choose where it pulls the market data from. You'll see here in this column it shows the prices for the modules. It's off, I'd say about 10 to 20% realistically of what the actual prices are in JITA. And you can choose, you know, where it's pulling those prices from and which market. So there's some settings deep inside this program of pricing. So, but it's still pretty reliable. I can see the ship, you know, the hull costs 45 million, the fitting's 216 million, so the total fit is 261 million just for this fit. But we're not quite done yet. I'm just going to go a little bit further into this. So we've got our fitting here. This is all set in terms of the fitting. Everything's where I want it to be for the fitting. But now I want to see, you know, there's no drone bay in here, so I don't need to add drones. You can if you wanted to. It's just going to tell me I can't really do it. So I added a drone here. It's in the drone bay, which doesn't exist, and you'll see here in the upper right corner, it's just telling me that I can't really do it, and I'm over capacity, so I'm just going to remove that. Yeah, so fighters, also can't put any fighters in this now. Cargo, this is where this helps when you're doing a lot of fitting stuff. What you can do is you can start filling up your cargo bay, and the reason you'd want to do this is to A, see how much stuff you can actually fit in your cargo bay, 135 meters cubed, but also you can export these fits to the game with the cargo contents as well. So if, let's say, you want to fit up a lot of ships, like before I go and do a deployment, I'm going to fit up, you know, 12 or 13 ships to send out, and I want to make it easy to automatically fit not only the modules, but also the ammo and anti-paste, drugs, etc. Everything all set to go all at one time. So what I want to do is start loading up this ship with the correct ammo types that I want in there. So I know I want to put a lot of different faction ammo in there.
It's north.
Hold on 1 second. Alright, sorry about that. Sorry. Sorry, it's the Arctic tundra, and my wife's asking me important questions about jackets because it's so cold, and I am an expert on winter apparel. Okay, so I want to add a bunch of different ammo here. So I want to add a lot of Imperial Navy ammo. So I'm going to type in the word imp, and I want to do S for small. And now I want to get like different types. So I want to get X-ray to start. So there it is. Drag into my cargo. I'm only going to put one in there. I could sit there and drag multiple in there at the same time because I'll need 4 for my guns. That's very time consuming. There's a faster way to do it. So I've got my X-ray. I want some standard in there as well. I definitely want to get myself some multi-frequency. And now I want the actual T2 ammo itself. And there's a 3 character minimum when you're searching for something, so there is that to note as well. I want some gleam, because why not? And so that's usually what I'll carry ammo-wise. Now, if I want to change the quantity of an ammunition type in there, and it can even be modules too, so if, let's say, you're flying a T3C and you want to put your refit in your cargo hold, you can actually drag regular modules in there as well. So here I'm just going to right-click and go to Change Charge Quantity, and type in 4. Boom, there it is, done. So, or actually didn't change it in, because I'm holding my push-to-talk key. There we go. So, very easy to make quick changes. Alright, so I want to put some nanopaste in there. Drop it in. And now some drugs, because drugs are good for kids and pilots alike. Alright, so I've got my cargo in there. So everything here looks pretty standard. I want to change my nanopaste quantity. I go through 250 in a room, believe it or not. And why not? Some extra damage drugs. Okay, so this pretty much is done for the fitting. Now, I want to see some other effects. Now, usually I fly this solo or in a very small gang without links or implants, but sometimes I do fly with implants, or maybe I want to see, you know, what can I get out of this with implants. So there's an implants tab, which is really nice. So I'm assuming you're familiar with the implant types. I'm not going to go into that. I want speed on this ship. It's a kiting ship. Speed is basically the only real defense I have other than this for basically tanking drone damage. So what I want to do is get myself some snakes. So if I type in snake, it starts pulling up the drones, and I want some low grades, you know, because I'm a cheapo for a frigate. And well, let me add more than the same type in there. So here it also kind of shows the price, and you'll see it also is reflected on the cost as well. So the total for the ship, 261, character 426 million. You can get a set of snakes for under half a bill right now, which is why I like flying with low grades, because they're super cheap and they're worth it. My speed went from 3200 to 3548. So once again, I can disable all these, and I'm at 3212, and with them, boom, 3548. So really cool. And I can also put boosters in there as well. So like before we added the doses to our cargo hold, we can also add them to our actual attributes as well. So if I double click this or drag it in here, you'll see my speed also went up to 3868. So 3868 is pretty damn fast for a assault frigate, especially one that doesn't have any like rigs to increase the speed, like a thruster or a polycarbonate or whatever. But I do have the nanofibers, which help. So as you can see, it's super fast. What I could also do is I can do two tabs here, very, very important: projected and command. So I'm not going to create a new fit from scratch. I'm just going to drag one that I already have in here. So I have some command destroyers. Boom, here we go. I've got some storks here. I don't know whose ships those are. Actually, no, here we go. Drag it in there. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, this has got skirmish links on it. If I really want to see, I'll click on this one. Here it is. Oh, I lost my retribution. Let's pull that one again. There it is. Okay, so here the stork that I created here, I've got two skirmish command boosts, rapid deployment and basic maneuvering. So when I go to the command boost here and I drop that in here, you'll see the stats towards the right hand side, speed and align time. Because that is being projected onto me from that ship with that character stats that I have imported on that ship, it's going to show me those attributes on here. So you can see how command boosts are affecting your fitting, which is something you can't do in-game at the moment. So really, really cool to see what ships are capable of based on different scenarios. So you can see command boosts on this fitting are pretty absurd. You're talking like almost 1,000 meters a second increase, which is insane. So really, really cool that you can do that. And then projected also. You know, I want to see, you know, if I'm in a small gang scenario and all of a sudden some dude in a carries shows up, right?
Command and projected are both of the fits are also affected by the type of character that you're running it on. So
exactly.
Either your account or all five. Then you can add implants to those as well.
So here is. Actually open this up here. This is a fit that I like to fly, so it's a pretty good fit. I'm going to turn also overheating modules too, same thing. So I'm going to disable two of these damps, and I'm going to look at my ship and say, with one carries damping me up, you know, how is that going to affect my ship? So you'll see my locking range right now is 50 kilometers. If I have one dude using a sensor damp on me, that 50 kilometers drops down to 36.6 kilometers. So really not excited about that. Now if that carries pilot put all of his damps on me. Why is it not showing it? Buggy version. Uh-oh. Oh, it didn't actually. There we go. 23 kilometer lock range. So I'm not too happy about that if I was a retribution pilot. So basically any kiting advantage that I could have had is gone. But that seems like it should be much lower than that, right? These are unscripted, that's why. These would be target range scripted. Now I have a 8.63 kilometer lock range. Yeah, so basically nerfed and completely gone. But to be honest, even one damp would pretty much ruin my day. Yeah, you can see one damp, I'm at 23 kilometers. So it's basically, it's really bad if you get damped down. And you can also do tracking disruptors, or you can do any kind of projected base weapon. So if, let's say, there was a warp scrambler on here, and it was projected on me, it would show on my actual speed of my ship that I would not have my micro warp drive on, the capacitor would be affected, and it would show my base speed because I'd be scrammed at that moment. So anything that is projected towards you, whatever that ship is, in this case it's the Damp Daniel Blaine carries, those modules that are active would then be showing up here on the projected fit here. So it's actually a great way to test out Logi. So let's talk about Logi ships here. I don't think I have any Logi ships in here, do I? Oh, I do. Let's see if this one is actually total crap or not. Alright, cool. Here's a fun little scimitar. So, now here I've got a semi. Very basic fit. Put them C types. This one looks like it's a pass. I don't know what kind of fit this is. Probably sticking around. But here we go. I have scimitar. So, projected. You'll see here under repairs, it's got nothing healing me. So if I want to say, if I'm flying in a fleet and I've got another one of these semi bros hooking me up with dank reps, boom, 798 EHP per second. Really, really cool that I could just do that really easily. So, and let's see, you've got 2 semis in a fleet, right? Better yet, 3. Boom, I'm repping 2395 DPI. All of a sudden I decide I want to overheat. You start to see that goes up. If I got all these guys overheating on me, 2800. So it's really cool. And even if, let's say, I have a hardener, turn my hardener on, boom, same thing. It's going to affect your attributes. So anything that you change in here will obviously change here, and anything that's projected that you change on the ship that's projecting will also change as well. So really, really cool that you can do that. So, shield boost, armor reps, cap chain, scrams webs, any kind of projected system of any kind will show up here. It's really, really cool. And there's even like a damage thing in here. I'm not going to get into it now because it's a whole class in itself. You can look at damage projection using this graph, which is really neat. But it's a very, very simple tool to use. It's got a lot of really cool features. I think it's very intuitive to use. I think it's fast, it's easy, and it's a great way to store ships. Now, one thing that we can do is once we have a fitting we're happy with and we want to bring it into the game. So let's go back to our retribution. We've got everything here that we want. The fit looks great. I just want to drag that over here. Everything here looks great and fantastic. So what we can do now is we can export this into the game. We can do it one of 2 ways. One we can do is we can go to edit to clipboard, and then I can choose the EFT implants. If, let's say, I'm in GDA and I want to just buy like a bunch of them for our corp, I can go to multi-buy and then import the multi-buy feature in the game. And then I can just select how many I want to buy, like 20, 30, 40, 50 of them, etc. In this case, I want to do EFT. I don't want to do the implants or anything like that. And now it's to my clipboard. So if, let's say, I wanted to I'm in the dojo and I want to share this fit with everybody, I would just paste, and there it is, the EFT format fitting. This is a standard fitting that a lot of programs use to import fits, including the in-game browser as well, or the in-game fitting tool as well, which I will demonstrate. Okay, so in the game, you'll open up your fitting window. And then from here, under the hulls and fits, under the browser, there's a little tab here that says Import from Clipboard. And then there it is right there. So it's everything that we had in that original fit that we created in Pyfa is all here. It's all nice and categorized. Everything's great. I can rename it in the game and so on and so forth. And I can hit save. I can buy all. I can copy to my clipboard. I can simulate. So really, really easy way to import it. The other way to import it to your game, I never do it this way, but you can do it, is export to Eve. And then it asks you which character you want to export it to. Now, if you have multiple characters in here, you can select which one and hit the export, and then it'll save it in game. So I'm going to export fit. It says sending request, create it, boom. So now if I'm in the game, and I search test, look, there it is with the fitting that we wanted. So really, really cool how quickly that works, especially now that CCP's API, I think it was the ESI update, they started letting you do read and write for some cases, so like fittings. So for people who like do a lot of shopping or buy a lot of fittings, either for their corporation alliance or they just like to lose a lot of ships like I do, it's a great way to quickly fit things up, test things, and make. There are some other features I could go over here. So one thing I didn't really touch on is adjusting some of the things over here. So let's say you've got your retribution, right? And I know I'm going to be going up against, I don't know, like
VNI.
No, VNI is let's say a VNI, and I know he's going to be using, what do you call it, ogres, right? So he's doing thermal damage, right? So right now, for the damage type, which is showing my resist profile, it says I got 5,400 EHP, or actual raw hit points of 2,700. If I know I'm going to be going up against only thermal damage, I can right-click on here, and I can go to generic, and I can go to thermal. And now it's saying my effective hit points is really 4,005, so I'm not tanked very well against that. So I could, go ahead and adjust it. Or if, let's say you're doing a ratting fit, right? You can go to NPCs, and you can select a different type of rats, and it'll select their damage profile, like Karista's rats. It'll put the kinetic and the thermal damage there. So I can see I'm much better tanking kinetic and thermal than just all thermal. So it's really cool that you can make those kind of adjustments. But generally, if you want to see, like, for a PvP scenario, if you're just saying in general, what am I up against, you can just leave it as uniform, which is just 25% of all damage types across the board. Generally, when people talk about fits, they'll leave the uniform damage type. Yeah. But it's a great tool for theory crafting. If, let's say you're an FC and you got spies telling you that the enemy's going to be forming up Cerberuses, or they're going to be doing Lokis, or Slippery Petes, where they're doing thermal kinetic. So you can adjust your fits to match those types of needs, and you can easily view those damage types and adjust those damage types here as well. So really, really cool tool, very, very powerful. And great for compiling a bunch of fits super fast. Yeah, I mean it's a really cool little program. I mean, even let's say if you're a PvEer, you're not even doing PvP, right? You want to fit up a procure. So here we've got a little procure fit, and we want to just do strip miners, right? So you always ask yourself, strip miners 2s versus strip miners 1, are they worth it? What am I going to gain? What am I going to lose? So let's put one of each on there, right? So here's going to show the cost difference. Let's say for some awful reason, I'm mining Feldspar. My Tech 2 crystals. So just the raw amount. Actually, let's bling this thing up here. Forgot the name of that module. Here, mining laser upgrade. Okay, so now I don't think Pyfa has a mining amount thing over here. I wish they did. I don't know why they don't. But you can right-click on these and go to module stats, and then go to the attributes tab. So here it's going to show you two sets of attributes when you're looking at this thing. So here it's going to show optimal range, your base, meaning let's say the ship without any skills input, and then the actual skills of your character. So it's going to show all those things here, which is really nice. So it shows like CPU usage, base, and then if you had max skills, you'll see it's a little bit less or more. Duration, the normal base is 180 seconds. If you've got max skills, it's 162 seconds. Activation cost, same thing. And then the important stuff here is mining amount. So I'm mining 835 meters cubed every 162 seconds. Whereas I forgot I could have both these windows open at the same time. So now I can compare both of them. So I see here 11. No, that's not it. Where is it? Mining amount. So 1,253 versus 835 on the cycle times the same. So you can see, yeah, you're going to get more out of the T2 with the right crystal versus the T1. Yeah. Although I don't think this is showing with the crystal, is it? Interesting. maybe charge stats. Very interesting, it doesn't show it. Oh well. Yeah, but T2 is usually a little better with the crystals. I'll have to go on their forums and ask them about that. But yeah, either way, it's still a great fitting tool, regardless, for fitting up pretty much anything. Structures, super easy to fit up a structure. Let's say I want to do a Astor House, right? Sure, we'll call it an Astor House fit. And then from here, I don't remember the names of half the structure equipment stuff. So here we've got structure equipment. I want to do some weapons on there. Get some launchers on there. Beautiful. Okay, bomb launchers, and then you can go through this. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. And, same thing. Projected, it won't let you do. You can't obviously do boosters, implants, any of that stuff. Fighters you can do. You can put fighters on your structures. Everything else is basically blocked out. Interesting that notes is also blocked out. But yeah, you can pretty much do whatever you want with these structures also, and the stats are here as well. It's a great program. I mean, it's super versatile, and it's just really easy to fit up ships. I mean, here, this is a brand new computer too. I've only had this thing for like 3 weeks, and you'll see I've got like a ton of fits under a lot of different categories here. So really, really cool program. Big fan. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, you did an awesome job with getting stuff from Pyfa into Eve. So on the other side, so if I'm a new bro and I'm reading the wiki and I see there's a fitting on the wiki, I want to get it into Pyfa. How do I do that? Or if I'm chatting on chatting comms and like, hey, we got a fit for this type of ship, and like, yeah, I'll post one in Fleet, and they link one in Fleet. How do I get it into Pyfa?
Great question. So if someone links you a fit in-game, so here we'll do this a little bit differently. Let me grab something from my ship hangar. Let's not do that one. So I'm jumping in a ship here. I've got my, God, what is this thing called? I'm drawing up like scalpel, that's what it's called. Alright, so I've got my scalpel here. You'll see here I can drag this anywhere I want. I'm sorry for the name of the ship. I don't need to name these things. But here it is. It's showing the fitting here. You'll see here there's a copy to clipboard option when you're inside the game. So you can copy to clipboard. And also when people post fits usually in fittings, they use that EFT format. And once again, to kind of show you it's this standard format here where it's got like the title of the ship and hits, and then it's got things spaced out based on which slots you're using. It's a very standardized way to post fits, so 99% of the fits that people share on forums and stuff are going to be in this form. So once it's on your clip, simply just go to EFT, and you can do one of two things. You can Control-V to paste it. So there I just Control-V'd it. The other option is to go to the edit, and then from clipboard. So you could do it either way. If you're a keyboard shortcut guy, it's super easy. If you're not, and you're a GUI guy, you'll just hit the edit, and then from clipboard. And then there's the fit with all of its fittings that matches the in-game fitting. So super, super straightforward, fast, and easy to import fittings from the game or from a forum or from pretty much anywhere else, as long as it's in that EFT format. And then just to show you, because I talked about it briefly, but I didn't actually show you, I'm put in charge for logistics for my corporation. I need to buy 100 of these fits. So instead of me copying it into EFT and then importing it, I don't really care about the fit itself. I'm not fitting them. I'm just doing the shopping. So we'll go ahead and go to clipboard. We're going to go to multi-buy, go to OK, and then in the game itself, you'll open up your market window here. You'll click, here it is, the open multi-buy option. And then from here, you'll see there's a button in the top left corner that says Import Item Orders. Add items listed in clipboard order. So I click on that, and you'll start to see that it starts populating with everything in my clipboard. It's a little bit slower than Pyfa, as you'll see here. And you'll also notice that the market in FDZ4A is absolute crap. But everything loads up in here. You can choose the number that you And then boom. So you've got everything all set, and you just hit the buy button. You're basically done. And if you also had the job of fitting them up, you would basically just save this fit, and then when they're in your hanger, you'd basically right-click and go to multi-fit, and then choose how many you want to fit up. So yeah, it's really easy to send data to and from Eve. You can also, for some reason, let's say you just started off, you never used Pyfa before, and you've got all these fittings in game. You can actually import your fittings from the game also. You can browse fittings in Eve, select your character, click the fetch fits, and then here it's showing I've got a bunch of different fits in here. I can bring them in here like this wolf, right? I want to import to Pyfa. Boom, there it is. I don't know where this fits from, but it's basically like a crappier version of the retribution we made. So you can import stuff from the game also using the Eve API stuff, which is really cool. Yeah.
The other thing I just real cat is that in your character you have all 5. If you actually bring down your EVA, your SSO, and you actually look at the character you have, that icon that has the book icon to the right of your character name, that's green right now because it's all 5. But if you select your character, if it goes red and you hover over it, it'll tell you what skills you're missing for that fit.
Exactly, yep. And if let's say I did train it up and it's still showing it's red, you can hit that refresh API. It'll pull the API information and still show that I am terrible at skills and I cannot fly MR small artillery. But it would show solid green if you did actually train it up. So yeah, like I said, if you're brand new and you're constantly training all these core skills and stuff, you'll probably have to click this refresh API button a lot more often. But for more of the veteran players, or the longer you'll play, when you finish all those core skills, it'll be more specialized skills that take 30 days to train, and so you'll be hitting this refresh button way less often. So it's not too important to remember to click that all the time. But yeah, it's that's Pyfa in a nutshell.